Hello, this is Valerie Henry Guillaume, and I am coming back with some information that the public needs to have in regards to the blatant human rights abuse by the Canadian government against international human rights laws and standards set by the United Nations. In this video, I am going to expose some judges, including a senior regional judge, regarding the direct violation of my human rights abuse. So these people, I already exposed two of them in a previous video, Philip Sutherland and Laura Bird. Now, I'm going to expose them in this video because they think that it's gonna be indefinite how they can subvert the law and act corrupt and abuse people's constitutional rights, abuse people's international human rights, and still continue to hide behind their actions, still continue where no one gets to know. This video is extremely important because I want to expose them, and I also want the public, I want the entire world to know that Canada is in violation of international human rights laws. And this is not just happening to me, it's happened to a lot of people, but I'm going to focus on my situation because it's one of the best examples of it. So as you know, in my previous video, I am in the courts right now against a local municipality, York Region, or the Regional Municipality of York, and also a housing provider, the Salvation Army, or the Governing Council of the Salvation Army in Canada. That's its legal name. Now, I filed an urgent motion on May 5th because of the actions of the region, okay, which was to evict me from the shelter and cause me irreparable harm. This is now exactly 3 weeks ago. This motion was filed as an ex parte motion, an urgent ex parte motion, and it first went before the judge, Laura Bird. She denied it as an ex parte motion. As a matter of fact, she dismissed it without prejudice and claimed that I should make service on the respondents, disregarding the urgency of the motion, disregarding the court process in regards to ex parte urgent motion, which is when you now turn it into a regular motion or ignore the urgency of the motion. That's actually disregarding that court process. So here you have this crooked judge disregarding it. Okay, so it went, because she dismissed it without prejudice, meaning that, I can do it over with her instructions. I did that, file another one the following day, on the 7th of May, because she made her decision on the 6th. And so this went before another corrupt judge, Sutherland. Now, they're doing all of these things, not really realizing that I am recording what they're doing to make it public to the people of Canada and to the people of the world, because this is something that need to be exposed. None of them is recognizing my rights under section 15 subsection 1 of the charter, the right to equal benefit of the law and protection of the law. They didn't regard that. So the second judge, Philip Sutherland, basically supported what the first one did by saying that I should serve the respondents with the urgent motion before before they would even consider anything. So I went and I filed a third one, I believe, and the same thing happened. Okay, I was told to serve the respondent. They have been served, by the way. So now they have been served and have been asking the court for an urgent motion date to bring it back. That was last week. I was told I had to ask the court which judges sees of my matter, why they're sitting on it for all of these days without even giving a response. I got an email back from the court on the 25th, which is yesterday, from Tracy Stickwood, who is a clerk in the court, and I'm talking about the Superior Court of Justice in Newmarket. Okay, civil. So she sent me back an email after my inquiry, which judges has my matter sitting on his desk, and I was told in this email that that judge is Howard Leibovich, who is a senior regional judge, and he's sitting on my fucking urgent motion, not giving any directions how it should proceed, and as a senior regional judge, he should have been aware of the irreparable harm that I would be facing the longer he sits holding my matter up before him without giving directions to the court or making a decision in regards to this matter. So, what they're not aware of is the fact, and why I actually asked for the name of the judge, is because, as I mentioned in my previous video, I am charging the whole fucking bunch of them before the ICC. This is not idle talk. This is something that's absolutely necessary, and this is also the reason for this video. Canada has violated my rights under the International Covenant against economic, social, and cultural rights, which it has a treaty with, especially in regards to housing situation, providing adequate housing. If somebody has been forced out of his shelter, they're facing irreparable harm. They have the right to go to the court and says, I am facing irreparable harm, and for that to be addressed, not for the court to sit on it for 3 freaking weeks, disregarding the fact that it's an urgent motion, request service on the respondents, because they have all the time in the world to respond as much as they don't care if this is an urgent motion. They have already caused me harm. What is troubling about this is the fact that this matter also went before a senior regional judge, Howard Leibovich, who didn't think that the irreparable harm that I'm facing currently is something that should be acted upon ASAP. As a senior regional judge, he's also ignoring the fact that an urgent motion is exactly that, an urgent motion. And so it shouldn't be treated like a regular motion. The other problem with this is that I also put in my urgent motion in regards to my medical condition and how that is affected in regards to the actions of the respondents and the irreparable harm that I'm facing. This senior regional judge ignored all of that. The other two previous judges ignored that, Philip Sutherland and Laura Bird. So they should not be surprised. They should not be surprised in regards to being prosecuted in front of the International Criminal Court, because they have this immunity as judges in Canada. They don't have that in front of the ICC. The ICC will prosecute anyone, leaders of a country, corrupt judges. Well, you can prosecute them under corruption, unfortunately, but you can prosecute them for committing crimes against humanity. And in my case, it would be cruel and unusual treatment and torture and all of these things. So there are a number of United Nations organizations that's going to be contacted, including the organization against torture. I think it's the World Organization Against Torture. The the one that deals with the treaty that Canada has violated in my case, the Convention against economic, social, and cultural rights. That's the main treaty that it has violated in this case more than once. More than once. So they are sitting thinking that it's okay, nothing is going to happen because, as I said, this is a corrupt country. What it has done is that it has its judges sitting in that court, meaning the International Criminal Court. And so it pretends as if it promotes human rights when it actually does the very opposite. It abuse human rights of vulnerable people, of including visible minorities like myself, because as a black woman, they have caused me irreparable harm. So I'm making this video to let them know, listen, this is what is going to happen. You will not violate my constitutional rights. You will not cause me harm on the international human rights standards. And I'm saying this to these three judges so far who are have dealt with this matter by holding it up, ignoring the court process, because an urgent motion, to turn an urgent motion into a regular motion, is literally an ex parte motion, is literally ignoring the urgency of the motion. So here you have this corrupt senior judge, Howard Leibovich, I hope I pronounced his name right, ignoring the urgency of the matter, has my matter on his desk since last week, according to the email I received on the 23rd, because I had to request who was seized of my matter and why they haven't made a decision on it. And I'm told that it went to him, who is a senior regional judge. Well, your fucking ass as a senior regional judge is going to face prosecution in the ICC if Mr. Karim allow my application under the Rome Statute to proceed in the ICC. You can bet your ass that you are now a defendant in the ICC. Make no mistake about that. And I also want to expose you to the Canadian public, because there is no confidence in the judicial system in Canada. Most people are disappointed in the courts because of the corruption, the level of corruption in the courts. And when you are a visible minority, such as a black person, you have an added level of corruption, which is racism. So what I'm facing is systematic racism. I'm also facing corruption from the judge who have targeted me individually, personally, to try to humiliate me and try to cause me irreparable harm by saying, we're not going to regard your urgent motion as an urgent motion. We want you to suffer this irreparable harm. How dare you? Throughout my court process against you in the International Criminal Court, I will be informing the public step by step by step, because I don't think you anticipated that someone like me could prosecute you in the International Criminal Court, which is what is happening right now. Get it in your head. This is what is happening right now. And I also want to humiliate you in front of the Canadian public, because you're not doing your job as a judge. You're not representing, you're not respecting the charter, you're not respecting the constitution, you're not respecting the rights of every individual on the charter. Because if I have equal access and benefit of the law, why is it being violated now? Why are you ignoring my urgent motion where I'm facing irreparable harm and sitting on it till when you feel this? Another reason why I make this video this morning is because of the major concern, because I have these issues with the municipality and with the housing provider, and there are many issues, and it's not just involving me, it's a pattern of corruption involving them. Something that the Auditor General needs to look at, something that the Ombudsman need to look at as far as the individual actions of these regional staff. But my concern is that if the attitude of the court is like this initially, that means they are not going to regard the other serious issues in regards to the municipalities, these corrupt people, the regional staff, and the municipality's action as far as the housing provider, the Salvation Army, the breach of the contract of this vendor, which is the Salvation Army, the corruption involved, such as the conflict of interest between the housing provider, the Salvation Army, and the municipality. When those issues get before the court, which I was hoping, is not going to be regarded as it should if they're going to start it off with this kind of corruption. This is not in the interest of Canadian public because there are many, many things that I have observed that is wrong and illegal in regards to that situation. So this is just the first part of it. The other major issues has not come before the court yet. And if this is the attitude of the court up front, that means there is no confidence regarding the public's trust in regards to what they're doing. This is not a free and open court system where you can expect a little bit a level of justice. Okay, the reason why I'm bringing these people before the court is because of the blatant disregard in regards to their actions as far as acting in the interest of the public, the best interest of the public, because they have an illicit relationship with the housing provider. They take on among themselves authority and jurisdiction that was never conferred on them by the Housing Services Act or by the Municipal Act or by any or first of all, they breach the contract. The vendor, the Salvation Army, breached the contract with the municipality and they're covering it up. Section 83, subsection 11. You can have that contract dissolved if the housing provider breach it. One of the areas that they have, one of the things that they have done is the open racism that they practice at that particular by the housing provider at a particular shelter, the building this place for open racism. This is a violation under the Human Rights Code. This should be a triggering event that would lead to that. It should never have been condoned by the regional municipality. So what they've done is that they protect each other. As a matter of fact, prior to this happening, prior to them asking me to leave, on the 4th, on Monday, the 4th of May, I actually had a meeting with someone named Erin Kelly, who is a manager with the regional municipality of York. She's one of the managers there in the housing section. So she has sent me her calendar the previous week to set up a meeting with her, and I chose May 4th at 12:30. So on May 4th, and I think I put this in a previous video, on May 4th, I checked my email. At 8:26 a.m., she sent me the login information. So I got the meeting ID code, and I also got the password. So I actually log into my meeting with that was supposed to be, and the bitch never show up for the meeting. This is a manager. This is how outrageous their actions are. So as a manager with the region, you have a meeting with somebody who is a resident of the shelter and a client that you're supposed to show respect to, and you didn't even show up at the meeting that you arranged with that person. So why did you send me the meeting ID in the morning and the passcode to log in? And after I log in, you never showed up. And when I complained to freaking Erin Mahoney and these people at the top, Erin Mahoney is corrupt. Kevin Pal is corrupt. He's a director. Erin Mahoney, Leslie Gonzalez's office is where I complained this to. So I made a call, spoke to her assistant Sherry, and says I had this meeting at 12:30 with Erin Kelly, who is a manager with the region in the housing section, and she never showed up. And like, okay, I will contact her and let her have her contact you. Do you know what happened? Instead of her contacting me, I was asked to leave the shelter. So she was abusing her powers actually. I was actually asked to leave. No apologies. No, you know what? I'm sorry I could not make the meeting and da 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 da. Nothing. Okay? I was simply told by an email because I was out for the day. I'm usually out doing things. So I got an email from this worker, Vida Ashmini, and she's like, "Oh, they want you to leave immediately at 2:30." I'm like, "What?" You know, while I'm waiting to get a response from Erin Kelly in regards to why she never showed up at the meeting with me and was so disrespectful as a manager to arrange a meeting with a member of the public or a client and never showed up. Never called, never sent an email as to why she never showed up. Sent me the meeting login at 8:26 a.m. and and I logged in and was waiting for more than 10 minutes. When I see that she wasn't going to show up, then I logged out. Contacted Leslie Gonzalez, who's the Commissioner for Human Services, Community and Health Services with that region. Spoke to her assistant Sherry, explained the situation. She then told me I'm going to get in touch with Erin Kelly and she's going to get in touch with you. Instead of her getting in touch with me, I was asked to leave. So you have these corruption, then there's the other kind of corruption where they are treating the temporary shelter as if it was a long-term residence. So there are people staying there up to 2 years, and then because it's York Region and it's the only shelter there for women, fully women, you can just imagine how many people are left out. They use it as a long-term resident, especially for people who have mental issues. So they just come there and they stay there. They also blend in the drop in with the shelter. They do a lot of things that they did not have the authority to do. So my focus was on why it is that they asked me to leave. And they're coming up with all of these excuses. So I really wanted my day in court. And but I also wanted the court to focus on the immediate harm that I was facing in regards to their action. And it has never done that in the past 3 weeks. And my message to those corrupt judges, those three corrupt Canadian judges, Laura Bird, Philip Sutherland, and now the senior regional judge, Howard Leibovich, is that they can now expect if Mr. Karim in the International Criminal Court allow my application to proceed, that they are now defendants in the International Criminal Court for committing torture and crimes against humanity against myself, which included cruel and unusual treatment, because this is cruel and unusual treatment for a senior regional judge to ignore the irreparable harm that I would be facing in regards to this situation of being forced to become homeless. And that is definitely causing irreparable harm. The fact that these son of a bitch also knows about my medical condition and very serious medical condition, and to also ignore that is a cause for concern. So I want the Canadian public to know, and there are all kinds of people that listen to what I have to say. And I also want the international community, the entire world, to know what's happening, because I'm also going to be suing this Canadian government. It's about time. Okay. I am not just satisfied with prosecuting these corrupt judges, but I also, it has violated my rights so many times on the international law, disregarded the treaty. You know, what's happening in my case, even though its own housing law, the National Housing Strategy Act, talks about homelessness being a priority and vulnerable people. This is what it's all about. These the municipality taking advantage of vulnerable people, thinking about instead of thinking about the interests of the public or acting in the best interest of the public, All it does, all of these regional staff does with the municipalities, such as, let me mention their name, Tanil Lampasona, who is a complaints and transparency person with York Region, Monica Sengoy, Monica Bryce, um, Erin Kelly, who is a major one. I'm going to make a separate video in regards to her because I've seen her profile and links, and people need to know what these people do behind closed door, okay, behind their public facade, okay. Erin Kelly, and more important, the ones at the top like Erin Mahoney, Lester Gonzalez, Kevin Pal. These are senior management team with the York region, and they are just as corrupt as the people below them. This is something that needs to come out to the public. This is something that needs to come out to the public because they're not running the municipality the way that it should. This is called municipal corruption. They are involved in white collar crime, the people at the lower level, and they're protecting each other. They're protecting the housing provider. They know, based on the number of complaints that has come to them, that the housing provider has not honored its contract with the municipality. This is a concern because when this issue is brought before the court, and if the court attitude right now is the way it is, then it's not going to address those other concerns the way that it should. And it is not in the public's interest for these people to get to wave them off and to get let them continue the way they are. It is not in the public's interest. Because like I said, they do things that even the Housing Services Act and the Municipal Act do not give them the authority or the jurisdiction to do. They went above and beyond. These things need to be looked at. And so why they went after me is that they don't want anyone to bring these issues up. I have a very lovely housing worker there, and she's like, I don't see why they're doing this to you. All you do is try to bring these issues up with them. And so now I am facing the corruption of the Canadian court, which is like, we don't care what irreparable harm you're facing right now. We will get to this matter whenever we feel like. And you need to understand, this is now before the court exactly 3 weeks now. This is an urgent motion that's before the court exactly 3 weeks now, and it is now sitting on the desk of a senior regional judge, Howard Leibovich, who is still sitting on my matter, has not given any direction to the court staff or any other judge to, act upon this matter. So again, what I want to say to him this morning, and I want to say to the other two previous judges who heard my matter and dismissed it without prejudice, or just ignored it and say, go do what the first one says, serve the respondents, which is what I got from Sutherland and from God knows who the third person was. So what they're doing is to ignore the irreparable harm and to ignore the urgency. This is against the court process itself because they're turning the urgent situation into a non-urgent situation. They're ignoring the urgency of the motion. The whole purpose of an urgent motion is to deal with the urgency of the motion. In my case, they choose to ignore that, and I'm saying there's no way you're going to do that and walk away from that. So I'm not even satisfied with complaining to the Judicial Council. I want them prosecuted in the ICC. And this is what is happening. So that's why I'm informing the public this morning that Howard Leibovich, and you notice I don't say honorable because there's nothing honorable about them. These are corrupt people who are sitting on these benches, who are entrusted with the Constitution, who are entrusted with the law, and because no one reports on them, because no one is watching what they're doing, they do these things behind the scene. But what I'm saying right now is that you're not going to do this and hide. I'm exposing your action to the public. So basically, the action of the senior regional judge is that there is an urgent motion before him where someone is facing irreparable harm. He's aware of it, has not given any instruction to any other judge to deal with the matter, to deal with the urgent motion. He's a senior regional judge. He's not supposed to do that. Okay? It's part of the court process to deal with an urgent motion as an urgent motion. Secondly, or this should be the first part of it, is the irreparable harm that the person is facing while you sit with this motion, urgent motion, on your desk and do nothing. As a judge, especially as a senior regional judge, you're not supposed to do that. I have actually filed previously urgent motion facing irreparable harm, and I had a lesser judge grant me a mandatory order against the municipality because I was facing the same irreparable harm. And now here you have a senior regional judge who's not even acting upon that. Not acceptable. He deserved to be prosecuted because this is cruel and unusual treatment. Also, its action is also violating my rights because it's part of the systematic racism in the Canadian court. And so there's a treaty that Canada signed in regards to ending discriminatory practice against black people in that country. So he's violating my rights on that treaty, which forbids Canada to discriminate against black people in that country, people of African descent. Canada also trying to sign the treaty in regards to the economic, social, and cultural rights, which has to do with people, including having adequate housing. So it has to do, and when you don't have that, that's part of the economic advantage that you're supposed to have. So that's one violation that it does. It also is also, this should also be regarded as torture, and that's exactly what it is, and that's how I'm proceeding against it. So there's a convention against torture, and there's the Rome Statute itself, which and torture, as you know, is any severe emotional or physical treatment against someone that's going to cause them severe harm, and this is what is happening. So this is torture, this is cruel and unusual. I wish I could have prosecuted them for their corruption, but the ICC do not accept that, so they can be prosecuted for cruel and unusual treatment and torture, which is where this is going. So I just want to let these three judges know up front, this is where you're going, this is what is happening. You're now being prosecuted in the International Criminal Court for carrying out crimes against humanity, against me specifically, cruel and unusual treatment and torture. You're being prosecuted in the ICC for that. Howard Leibovich, Senior Regional Judge in Ontario, Canada, and two other judges, Laura Bird and Philip Sutherland, and these ones work in the Newmarket Superior Court of Justice. There are some previous judges also, such as Jamie Trimble and Doy and some other ones. So this is a pattern with them that they're now going to abuse my rights and to cause me as much harm as they can with total disregard for their legal duty in upholding the constitutional rights of people who come before them, upholding the law itself, because him ignoring the urgent motion is actually ignoring the court process itself. So my message to you this morning, Howard Leibovich, is that you can now prepare to be a defendant in the International Criminal Court, which you never expected to happen to you. Well, you know what? You have now landed yourself like that, okay? Because of your corruption in my case. And I will be giving the public routine update in regards to this process, this human rights abuse, and the legal process under the Rome Statute involving you, involving Laura Bird, and Philip Sutherland, and any judge who now think that it's okay to violate my rights under international human rights. You need to get the message that you can't ever do that. I'm taking a stand against you. I'm taking a public stand against you. I want the entire Canadian public to know what you do behind closed door, and I want the international world to know what Canada does behind closed door. And don't think that because you have judges sitting in the ICC and can influence that court, that that's not going to happen in my case. Okay, over my fucking dead body. It's not going to happen. I don't care, because that's what Canada does. It puts its judges and all of these ambassadors with the Inter-American Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. So they are in strategic places. They're in strategic places to cover up its human rights abuse and its human rights violations. Okay? This is one person you're not going to stop. You violate my rights under international laws, you will see what happens under international law, because I'm using the Rome Statute under the International Criminal Court to enforce my human rights. This is Valerie Henry Guillaume, and I will be keeping the public more informed as to this process as I go after these people in the International Criminal Court. These judges who are sitting and who are racist, who uphold the systematic racism in the Canadian judicial system. They need to be exposed, such as Howard Leibovich and Laura Bird, and many of them. Many of them. They're not sitting there to protect anyone's rights. Okay? I don't have any protection right now. My rights were totally disregarded in the court by these corrupt judges. And I'm saying to them this morning in front of the entire Canadian public and in the entire Canadian in the world, you will not get away with what you've done. You violate international laws and you will not get away. You will not get away. You will be prosecuted in the International Criminal Court, and I will also expose your corrupt action before the rest of Canada. Judges are watching and listening to what I'm saying. Lawyers, because I know, can you imagine previous judges who have regarded this exact same situation and says this person is facing irreparable harm, and now you have this senior regional judge who don't even see it in that way, and you're sitting as a senior regional judge? Howard Leibovich or Laura Bird or Philip Sutherland, you don't see the irreparable harm to this person? And why are you disregarding this? I have a right to life, liberty, and the security of my person, not just under Canadian law, but also under the United Nations international human rights standards. You are jeopardizing my rights, my right to life in this situation. You are endangering my right to life, and you don't think that you're going to answer for your crime? Get real.